Dice 1, 2, 3. Esta es una prueba de sonido.
Buenos días. Les damos la bienvenida a este seminario. Este seminario es nuestro primer seminario semestral. Y bueno, tenemos el día de hoy la presencia del doctor Mehmet Oturan. Voy a permitirme leer una semblanza breve. Su trayectoria es larga. Mehmet Oturan is currently a professor emeritus at the Université Gustave Eiffel, France. He has made seminal contributions to the field of environmental electrochemistry, particularly electrochemical advanced oxidation process for treatment of water wastewater. He developed and popularized the Electro-Fenton Process in its carbon-felt version. His research activities mainly focus on the catalytic generation of radical species by means of electrochemical, chemical, and photochemical techniques and their applications to environmental remediation by advanced oxidation processes. So research includes degradation, mineralization kinetics, mechanics, and modeling with impact on ecological and human health. He has co-supervised 47 PhD theses and published more than 270 peer-reviewed papers. Dr. Oturan is a highly cited researcher with over 2,800 citations and an H factor of 79 in Web of Science. He has also published 3 books and 11 book chapters. He has presented more than 200 contributions to scientific national and international conferences, including 50 invited plenary or key lectures, and several seminars in universities and scientific institutions around the world. He is recognized since 2018 as one of the most influential scientists worldwide by Web of Science. He has served as editor of several journals, including Applied Catalysis Environmental, IF 24.32, Environmental Chemistry Letter, IF 30.62, in Chemistry Africa. He has acted as an expert of the evaluation of projects from the European Union, France, Canada, Estonia, Finland, Spain, Uruguay, China, Australia, Argentina, Chile, and others. Welcome, Dr. Oturan.
Thank you very much for this introduction. This is the first time I am in Mexico, and I am very happy to be there. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Olvera Vargas and his institute and the University giving me the opportunity to present part of work on the electrochemical advanced oxidation processes carried out in my laboratory. The Electro-Fenton process is developed 2 days ago in the laboratory of the Professor Brillas in Barcelona, and in my laboratory on different versions. This process became now a very working and very process. Yes, the electrochemical advanced oxidation is an advanced oxidation by electrochemistry. So in this process, the strong oxidants are generated in situ by electrochemistry And the strong oxidant one produced, they react with organic polyton, they oxidize organic polyton until complete mineralization. So in the electrochemical advanced oxidation process, we have two most popular processes. There are Electro-Fenton and anodic oxidation processes. Now I will give briefly, and before some word on the importance of the research on Electro-Fenton process worldwide. This is a recently published biometric research by Professor Sires. You know, here, okay. Here, you see here the number of publications on Electro-Fenton process by year. You know, in 2021, there are about 500 papers on Electro-Fenton process. The more active country in research Electro-Fenton process are China, followed by Spain and France, and then Brazil, Mexico. You know here the number of stations by paper. There are a lot of papers produced by China. But the important, you know, the number of stations is very low in China papers. And the number of stations is high in Spain and in France, corresponding to the lab of some of this process take importance in recent years. Here, I will present briefly the principle. This is a coupling between electrochemistry and Fenton chemistry in the process. Hydroxylate. By electrochemistry, we have here the generation, in situ generation of hydrogen peroxide, which is one of the main parameters in electrochemistry, in Electro-Fenton. And hydrogen peroxide reacts with iron 2 ion as catalyst. The Fenton reaction takes place, and we have the production of hydroxy radical, this is the chemistry part. But the iron 3 produced here is reduced on the cathode to form iron 2. So we have electrocatalytic. And when using, in the classical Electro-Fenton process, we use the platinum anode and DSA anode. There are active anodes. When using PTD anode here, in Electro-Fenton process, we have now the coupling in Electro-Fenton and anodic oxidation process. Because in this case, we have the production of hydroxyl radical by Electro-Fenton process homogeneously in the solution, and additionally, we have the production of heterogeneous hydroxyl radical on the anode by oxidation of water. So we have more hydroxyl radical produced in the process, and then the process becomes more efficient. In this seminary, I will present some recent development carried out in my team. There are a novel hybrid process, the bioelectro-Fenton process, and then heterogeneous electro-Fenton, using a solid catalyst or using a modified cathode leading of catalyst. And finally, I will present some new findings in Electro-Fenton processes. The bioelectro-Fenton is a coupling between electro-Fenton and biological process. Why bio-electro-Fenton? Why this coupling? Because in electro-Fenton process, in order to reach almost total ionization, we have an electrolysis time enough long, and this consumes energy, electrical energy. The process is not very cost effective. To avoid the loss of energy, we can apply this coupling bio-electro-Fenton process. I want to note that the work about bio-electro-Fenton process I will present here was carried out in my laboratory by Dr. Olivera Vargas during his PhD thesis. To justify the necessity of this coupling, I will show some results here. This is the electro-Fenton treatment of ranitidine and furosemide to the mixture of two drugs. Here we have the conditions. The first figure shows the mineralization process. The mineralization, that means the talc removal, is very high during the 1 hour. And then the mineralization efficiency and the mineralization rate decrease exponentially. Concerning the mineralization current efficiency here, in figure B, the mineralization current efficiency decreased exponentially along the treatment time, along the electrolysis time. That means the efficiency is lost along the process. And here we have the electrical energy consumption. And electrical energy consumption increase along the electrolysis time. So the electrolysis on longer treatment time is highly energy consuming process. So bio-electro-Fenton is developed to reduce electrical energy consumption for a cost-effective electro-Fenton process. We can use two ways to make bio-electro-Fenton process. First, the electro-Fenton process can be used as treatment step for biological post-treatment, or electro-Fenton process can be used a post-treatment step after a biological pre-treatment. So, in the case of the recalcitrant effluent, the electro-Fenton process is used as pre-treatment step. Then the treatment is finished by biological treatment. In the case of biodegradable effluent, the first step is biological treatment, and electro-Fenton process take as post-treatment. In the example I show you, the electro-Fenton process was used as pre-treatment step. This is the degradation of metoprolol, this molecule, a drug, beta blocker drug. And we studied firstly the mineralization process by electro-Fenton alone, homogeneous electro-Fenton. And almost complete mineralization after 6 hours treatment. After complete, that means about 90% mineralization. The challenge with bio-electro-Fenton is following. 10 metoprolols become biodegradable for this, we studied firstly the biodegradability index, the biodegradability index of the solution was 0.12. That means the solution is not biodegradable. After 1 hour treatment by electro-Fenton, the biodegradability index became 0.44. That means the solution is now biodegradable. So, after 1 hour treatment by electro-Fenton process here, then the solution can be degraded, can be mineralized by biological treatment because the solution became biodegradable at this stage. Now we carried out the mineralization of metoprolol by cutting bioelectro-Fenton process. Firstly, this is the situation after 1 hour electrolysis. After 1 hour electrolysis, the biodegradability increases to 0.44. And 47% of organic matter has already mineralized. Then the solution can be mineralized after here. The solution can be mineralized by aerobic biodegradation process. We know we see that the mineralization, the top removal rate, increase continuously during biotreatment as well, and reach to 90% after 6 hours treatment by biological degradation. So, as a result, the coupled process, bioelectro-Fenton process, is able to reach almost total mineralization, even in the case of a recalcitrant organic polyton such as metoprolol. During the treatment, we also identified the intermediate format in electro-Fenton step and the biological step. Metoprolol is firstly oxidized by addition of hydroxylated radicals. There is formation of hydroxylated product. This hydroxylated product then undertake ring breaking reactions to form carboxylic acids. The carboxylic acids are resistant to hydroxylated radicals. Very slowly mineralized, but they are biodegradable. So they are mineralized by biological process. This part corresponds to Electro-Fenton process, and this part corresponds to biological process. Now I present another new process. This is heterogeneous Electro-Fenton process. There are a lot of research on the heterogeneous Electro-Fenton process in order to enlarge patient patch rate. And to avoid loss of catalyst, homogeneous. And we have advantage Sorry. There are two ways to carry out heterogeneous Electro-Fenton process. Heterogeneous Electro-Fenton process can be carried out by using solid catalyst or by using a modified cathode bearing catalyst. First, the use of solid catalyst process is pirate. This process uses the solid pirate as heterogeneous catalyst. There are some advantages to use this process because pirate is one of the most abundant natural iron, so it is cheaper. And in the process, there are the self-regulation of catalyst, iron 2. There are also self-regulation of pH of the solution, so we do not need to acidify the solution initially to pH 3. And we have also the possibility to recycle the catalyst because we can obtain the catalyst after process by filtration. So this reaction, when we put the pirate in the solution, several reactions take place. And you know, all these reactions produce iron ion and the proton. So acidification of the solution to an appropriate pH of ideal pH for Electro-Fenton treatment. And also, there is production of iron, the catalyst. So we don't need to add catalyst to the... So we applied this test to the minimization, to the treatment of several pollutants. And here I will present only the minimization of, or the removal of tyrosol from water by pirate Electro-Fenton. This is the tyrosol molecule. And firstly, the degradation kinetic. You know here, the degradation kinetic is very fast. For example, when using 300 milliampere, the solution is completely degraded at less than 6 minutes. So the degradation kinetic is very, very fast. Now, when comparing the homogeneous Electro-Fenton with heterogeneous Electro-Fenton, and so on, we can see that the performance of two processes is similar, but pirate Electro-Fenton provides slightly better performance than homogeneous Electro-Fenton process. In addition, pirate Electro-Fenton overcome the limitation of the heterogeneous Electro-Fenton. There is no addition of heterogeneous catalyst iron 2. There is no addition of acids to set the pH to 3. That means we can treat the solution at natural pH. Now, I show another example of the heterogeneous Electro-Fenton using a magnetic nanocomposite modified carbon felt cathode. Carbon felt is the cathode of the Electro-Fenton process. This research is progressing in our laboratory. You know, here we have 3 cells. In both cells, we have a modified cathode by carbon nanoparticles. In the first, yeah, here. In the first cell, we have, you know, we have a heterogeneous Electro-Fenton with reduced graphene oxide, magnetic composite catalysts, all composite catalysts. In the second cell, we have heterogeneous Electro-Fenton with multivalent carbon nanotube and reduced graphene oxide magnetic composite catalyst. And in the last case, there is no solid catalyst in the solution, but the solid catalyst, the ferrous oxide, iron oxide, is in on the composite cathode. Is bearing in the cathode, and the hydroxyl radical are produced on the cathode, not in the solution in the case. So this is the heterogeneous Electro-Fenton process. So we studied first the electroactivity of this new cathode, and here we see that the new modified cathode are strongly more electroactive than unmodified cathode. Here also by cyclovoltammetry, we see that the electroactivity of the modified cathode is strongly higher. Why? Because the modification of carbon felt cathode increased the electroactive surface of the cathode, so we have much more active sites, and this allows us more facile electron and mass transfer to the electrode. First, also we studied the generation of hydrogen peroxide with this new cathode, because hydrogen peroxide is one of the important parameters in Electro-Fenton process. Here also we note that the generation of hydrogen peroxide is very strong, is very high when using a composite catalyst. This is the mineralization process, the mineralization of the busulfan, which is an anti-cancer drug. And here also we note that the process, mineralization process, is very, very rapid when using composite catalyst, composite electrode, sorry. You know, 0.1 millimolar of bisulfan solution is completely mineralized after only 1 hour treatment. I think this is very, very important, but because in general, in Electro-Fenton process, the complete mineralization is reached after 5-6 hours of electrolysis. Then we studied the reusability of this new modified cathode during 5 cycles. And we note that there is no loss in efficiency of electrode. Then after 5 cycles even, the efficiency is very high. The removal efficiency is very high. So this new modified cathode reduced graphene oxide magnetic on the carbon black and the carbon felt cathode, modified cathode, has greater reusability and stability at natural pH conditions. I will present also some, maybe 2 new findings using the Electro-Fenton processes. Firstly, a new finding on a new hydroxyl radical reaction mode. There was 3 known hydroxyl radicals. This mode were hydrogen atom abstraction, addition on unsaturated bond, for example, aromatic compound, and the electron transfer reaction. You know, this reaction rate is very high, especially in the case of the addition of on unsaturated bond. This was 2 reaction modes known with hydroxyl radicals. So we show that there are another mode of reaction of hydroxy radicals. So in the past, there was no known reaction of hydroxy radicals with perhalogenated organic compound. Why? Because this compound have no hydrogen atoms, so there is no hydrogen atom abstraction, and no unsaturated bond, so there is no addition on the unsaturated bond. So there was no reaction with hydroxy radical. Recently, we showed that this idea is wrong, and hydroxy radicals can react with perhalogenated organic compound. And we showed this using carbon tetrachloride as compound, and we showed that carbon tetrachloride can be degraded, even mineralized by hydroxy radical. And the reaction mode is different. The reaction mode is now ipso attack on the position of chloride, and so there is leaching of chloride, and the process advance until completion of the carbon tetrachloride. We applied also right. Yes. So we followed the mineralization process by following, we studied the mineralization process by following the leaching of chloride ion, because the degradation and mineralization of carbon tetrachloride is allowing with leaching of chloride ion. We can see here, after 30-minute electrolysis, all of the chloride are reached in the solution. And then the chloride is degraded in the case of only BDD anode, because BDD anode is able to oxidize chloride to the chlorine. So you know this example of mineralization. Also, we followed the mineralization process, and you know here, by using a current of 100 milliampere, 85% of mineralization is reached 8 hours of mineralization. So we propose a new mode, hydroxy radical. Now, I will show you an application. That's the generation of the activated carbon. Why? Because the activated carbon used as filter in drinking water, and it is an expensive material. To regenerate this filter, thermal or chemical oxidation method are, but unfortunately, these methods are not efficient, because there is the damage of the phase characteristic, such as microporous structure and the textural characteristic of activated carbon. So there is a strong need for a suitable activated carbon regeneration method. We use the Electro-Fenton process to regenerate activated carbon. The process is carried out in 2 steps. The pollutant selected is the phenol, and the first step is absorption of phenol on activated carbon. That means you put the activated carbon piece on the phenol solution, and you wait until complete absorption of it. And in the second step, this piece of activated carbon is used as cathode of the Electro-Fenton process. So, in the Electro-Fenton process, near of cathode, we have formation of hydroxide in this cathode. The hydroxide radical react on the phenol, and there is formation of polyphenols. And polyphenols are more hydrophilic. So there is this equilibrium until the surface and the solution. And the polyhydroxylated molecules pass to the solution. And in the solution, this molecule are mineralized by homogeneous hydroxy radical produced in the solution and heterogeneous hydroxy radical generated on the anode, EDD anode. So we can follow the mineralization process. This is the mineralization solution. We have also the decrease kinetic, the degradation kinetics of in carbon cathode. And after 6 hour treatment, about 75% of but in the desorption and with regeneration of the activated carbon cathode process taking place in solution. First, in the union, there is no organic carbon in the solution because it's absorbed on the surface of the activated carbon. And one putting in the solution, there is an Electro-Fenton process. The molecule, the phenol molecule, become more hydrophilic and pass on to the solution. So quickly, we have a great concentration of organic matter. Then, the molecules are mineralized in solution, and after 6 hours, solution is almost completely mineralized. So the process is first the formation of more hydrophilic byproduct, hydroxide product, and then second process is the mineralization in the solution. And then we studied the regeneration efficiency of this cathode, this activated carbon cathode, during 10 adsorption regeneration cycles. Each cycle at 6 hours. There is a loss in the regeneration efficiency during 2 first cycle, and then the regeneration efficiency remains constant about 70%. You know, this remaining about 70% along 10 adsorption regeneration cycle. So the main advantage of this process are the following. There are 2 aspects. The first aspect is the economical aspect, because the activated carbon filters which is for drinking water can be regenerated in this process. In addition, there is no modification of morphological or chemical characteristic after 10 cycles. The second aspect is the process aspect. You know, the treatment of the effluent with low concentration of pollutant is costly and is very difficult, especially when using electrochemical process, because of the loss of efficiency caused by mass transfer processes, mass transfer limitations. So the pre-concentration of pollutant in the low concentration effluent on activated carbon fiber and then coupling with Electro-Fenton process allow a cost-effective process for the treatment of low pollutant concentration effluents. This process, this method has been patented and is currently maturing in our laboratory using continuous reactor and real effluents. So as conclusion, briefly, very short conclusions, the Electro-Fenton process is an environmentally friendly process because in the process we have high oxidation mineralization efficiency for all the persistent pollutant, for example, the pesticide, dyes, industrial pollutant, landfill leachate, pharmaceutical. We have obtained almost complete mineralization. Secondly, the bioelectro-Fenton allows reducing energy consumption for a cost-effective processes. Then the heterogeneous electro-Fenton allow operating at natural solution pH and with a recycling of the catalyst. And finally, the use of activated carbon in Electro-Fenton process with pre-concentration on the carbon fat make possible the treatment of effluent with low concentration. That means we can treat the effluent with low concentration with efficiency because the pollutants are firstly adsorbed on the carbon, activated carbon, and then activated carbon piece is used as cathode in Electro-Fenton process. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Oturan. Any questions?
Thank you very much for your presentation. And I have two questions about the last slide that you are mentioning.
You can see last slide now.
Yeah,
Here.
in relation to the environmentally friendly. I have two questions. The first one is, what kind of primary energy sources are you using for carrying out the whole process for producing clean effluents or
This
whatever?
is the electrical energy.
Yeah, and have
We
you...
use the current to carry out the process, Electro-Fenton process.
Yeah, but this, my question is more related if you are using fossil fuel energy sources for
To
conducting.
produce energy.
Yeah. Or
In France, we have nuclear energy.
or if you are using solar energy for providing this energy
Yes,
that is
It
needed.
is possible. The solar photo Electro-Fenton process was developed by Professor Brillas. It's possible. He made a lot of publication by solar photo Electro-Fenton process, and sure, the energy consumption is renewable, is sustainable, and there is less energy with more efficiency.
Okay, and the second, it's more technically related to the life cycle assessment of this process.
The last process?
The life cycle assessment. I mean, what kind of impact categories are involved in the whole process that you are using?
Sorry, which one? Yes, it will be here. This one?
No. I mean, the whole process that
Yes.
you have presented.
Yes.
All of this process. Have you carried out any life cycle assessment and study for identify what kind of impact categories are involved in the process, or some hotspots that need to be study in more detail for providing this environmentally friendly solution in the context of environmental sustainability.
Okay, thank you very much for this questions. We environmentally, because we use as proper energy, electrical energy, which can be used connected to solar energy, and then after the treatment, generally we go until deminionization, so there is no impact on the environment, because even we can go to 50%, 60% ionization in the solution, then the solution became biodegradable. And in the nature, biodegradable process occur. And on the other side, we don't use the reagent, aggressive reagent. The reagent here is produced in the solution, is hydrogen peroxide, and its life is not long, because it can, hydrogen peroxide, degraded in the time. I think, I don't know if it is, you are satisfied. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes?
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
And I have two questions also. The first one is related with the first analysis that you presented about the publications of this kind of works. I was a little bit, I think it's not needed, okay, because it was very clear.
Yes.
But I was a little bit surprised. It's clearly that the process is being in the interest in a lot of researchers,
Yes.
because the publication growth has been exponential.
500 people per year.
It's impressive. But in the other side, the interest seems to be concentrated in China, because you showed how
In all area.
so that's well, it's not surprising to me either, because China is booming many different subjects. What was surprising to me is that the difference between publications in China and the United States is huge, and the subject seems to be very relevant and important for the environmental crisis. Mm-hmm. So I would like to have your opinion on how this gradient so high in this moment, this period of history.
I think the publication of Professor Billas and my team are high station rate, because we were the first one developing this process, and we make attention to our publication. They are published in high impact factor journal. On the other hand, I had a lot of collaboration with Chinese people, Chinese university. There, the authority pushed the researcher to publish more. And they have to publish to have the promotion. And they have also paid per publication. And they try to publish, maybe not with very attention. I think can be reason. Because the publication, as you see, are low impact. Mm-hmm. That means, and they are not much seeking.
Okay, and my second question is more technical. It's about this regeneration activated carbon reaction.
Yes.
Do you think this process is going to play a role in the recycling of batteries?
I don't know. Because this regeneration of the activated carbon, if there are activated carbon used in the battery, it will be possible. But essentially, the process is intended to regenerate activated carbon filters used in drinking water treatment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have another questions?
Yes.
Hi, hello. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, I'm curious about how big is the problem in France with contaminated water, and if you apply this research to clean water in France, or you try to sell this technology to other countries.
The process is in developing. We apply it to different kind of polluted water, real waters, and merges, different kind of pollutants in complex solutions or synthetic solutions. Currently there is no use in the industrial level. There are some plants, small plants, but there is no general use in the industrial level. Maybe there are some aspects to develop in this process. Mainly about the electrode materials. Because the electrode materials, cathode materials used in my lab and in the lab of class are not very solid. They are maybe slightly fragile. And in the level of anode, also best anode is the BDD anode, boron diamond and doped diamond anode. But this material is very expensive. And we have to find researchers, after we have to find appropriate anodes and cathodes to develop the process, and in order it can be able at industrial level. I thought that Chinese can go to the level of application, industrial application in recent years.
Thank you for your presentation. I have just one question. The approach of the use of this process would be in the last stages of cleaning water, or it can be used in a as you said, in a complex mixture of many substances. I mean, is this process selective with those pollutants so that if you have a complex mixture, you get the same results as in here?
The process generates hydroxyl radicals. Hydroxyl radicals is a very strong reagent. The potential is 2.80 volt. And this radical is unselective, non-selective species. So hydroxyl radicals can attack any organic pollutant. The more difficult were the perhalogenated compound. And so we can use this process for any kind of effluent. We worked also on several real solutions. So there is no problem because the region is non-selective. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. And well, I can see your process very important. Well, in the case of biological process, because many pollutants cannot be removed with, with many microorganisms. My question is in the case of your research of coupling systems, biological and Electro-Fenton, if, well, you mean aerobic biological treatment, activated sludge, right?
No, yes, no, not activated stage. Well, Vargas can respond if he wants. No, we used selective 12 microorganisms. Currently, then we used also in the sludge, activated sludge in our lab. Currently, there are the research in our lab using activated sludge. And I think Dr. Olivera Vargas can develop here this coupling.
Yeah, in fact, we are working in that kind of, with microalgae.
Okay.
Yeah, but for example, you check in deep the effect of effluence from Electro-Fenton in biotic effect in the microorganisms, if they change the dynamics, or well, compare with only raw wastewater. If you check that in deep, or you didn't see any effect on the microorganisms.
No, I think it is to Dr. Olivera Vargas to develop this aspect. In our lab, there was no biologist, so we don't study more on this aspect.
Okay, thank you very much.
There is any question in transmission? No? Okay, so let's finish. Thank you, Dr. Oturan.
Thank
we
you.
have a special gift for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And your
Good.
certificate.
This is a diploma.
Yes, diploma. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gracias. Los esperamos el próximo viernes.
Interesting questions answer. Okay.